September 11th, 2001, yeah, it was 24 years ago today when the terrorists made the attacks on the United States at the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. I just think it's important for us to remember that day and the sacrifice made by almost 3,000 Americans whose lives were lost that day as well. Keep their families, in our thoughts as well, but also the men and women who perished in the war of terror that resulted from those terrorist attacks in the years that followed. So just as we do a moment of silence, I'll just ask that we keep those folks in our thoughts and prayers and in their families as well.
Thank you. Let's all rise for a moment of silence and a pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Board, do we have an agenda?
Make a motion that we approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we have an agenda.
So, Mr. Chair, members of the board, tonight we have our school board reps with us for this year. We have Lamar Sales and Wyatt C. Lamar is a senior who is attending the high school as well as the governor's school. She's been heavily involved in school activities throughout her 4 years at Amherst County High School, including a member of the tech club as well as an officer for the senior class this school year. And she has already done so much this year to help plan the events for the school, including senior sunrise, senior breakfast, and the pep rally. So we want to welcome Lamar to joining us as a rep from the school board.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome aboard.
And Wyatt is also a senior who is attending Amherst County High School and the CVCC CTE Academy. Wyatt is also heavily involved in extracurricular activities, included a 4-year member of the football team where he's currently a captain, and also a member of the wrestling team where he placed at the state tournament last year. So we want to welcome him as well.
Welcome, Wyatt.
And I told them when we get to their section of the agenda, they'd have a chance to go into more depth as they're wide and what they're up to. So
No worries. We only have very high expectations for you this year.
but we do welcome you and thank you.
Absolutely.
We still want to recognize the transportation department. However, Rhonda Campbell's daughter had her baby, and Ms. B. Campbell is there at the office holding down the fort. So they're not here this evening, but so maybe I'll just bring them back on the agenda at a later date. But we were planning on recognizing them tonight. But we do want to just publicly state that the routes, the work they put into preparing the routes and making sure all of our kids get to and from school is a huge task, and the work that the whole department does, not just them, but all of our drivers, our maintenance, and the transportation department, and all the work they do to ensure the buses are running safely and we can get kids to and from school in a safe manner. So just want to recognize them and appreciate the work they do. Now, Dr. Hoden, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, just echo that as far as, my mic's not working. There we go. Just echo that. Sometimes there are days where what they pull off is actually a miracle, and I want to remind the board, several of our surrounding counties daily will cancel bus routes. Knock on wood, we have not had to do that because of the work of Rhonda B., all the drivers that come together, including the mechanics. Mechanics are driving about every day. So it is quite taxing, but our goal is to get all the students to school. So just wanted to let you know the hard work that entire staff does.
Yeah, and along those lines, it's certainly not an easy thing, right? It's not like you create your routes in the beginning of the year and you forget about it. They're constantly having to update the routes based on, new students coming in, students leaving, having bus drivers available to do routes and having to collapse routes. So it's a never-ending task, and so we greatly appreciate it. That's the first thing our students see is that bus driver, and that kind of sets the tone for the day for a lot of those students. We're very appreciative of all their work.
Sir, thank you.
All right, next up is public comments. We don't have anyone that's registered, signed in for public comments. Would anyone like to come at this time? We will offer an opportunity at the end of tonight's meeting. Anyone? All right. We'll move on to action items.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, members of the board, we have the proposed changes to the school policy manual. And so what we have done, we met with Ms. Thompson and Ms. Justice met with us yesterday actually to go over some of the policies that were pulled from last month just to discuss. In Section A, those are the same policies, no changes were made, there are no substitutions or revisions, so we would recommend that the policies in Memo A be approved as is, as a second read tonight, since there are no changes made to those policies from what we've discussed earlier.
And what about Section B?
Section B, I'll separate them out.
You
Section
separate them
B
out? Okay.
is different conversation, but
All right.
I'd recommend move on Section A first.
All right, board, what's your pleasure?
Make a motion that we approve policies under Memorandum A.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes. How
All right,
about
thank you, sir.
Section B?
So Section B were policies that had revisions made to them. So we have two options with Section B. One would be to treat this as a first read since amendments were made to those policies, and it'll just be a first read tonight to give you a chance during the next month to review. Or the policies changes were not major in context. If you so felt like you wanted to approve tonight, you could, but being that changes were made, you have that option to bring it back next month to approve, or you could approve tonight. It's the board's discretion.
Board, what are your thoughts?
Mr. Chair or Vice Chair. Since I was part of looking at these changes, I feel comfortable being able to adopt those tonight. But I know many of you, because of the late hour of it coming in, I don't know if it was last night or this
It was
morning.
last night.
Was it last night? Bless you, Brittany. Yeah, she worked really hard in trying to get this together, but, you may not have had time to review them. So if you want to approve them, that's fine. If not, I think it would be appropriate to make it a first read to give you a chance to look at those changes. It's not up to me, because I'm good with them.
What about the rest of the board? Have you all had an opportunity to read it, or do you want to put it off to next month, or?
I have not had a chance to read it, so.
Okay, so we'll table that to next month.
Yes, sir. So we'll bring it back to the second read next month and for approval. Yes,
All
sir.
right.
Thank you. 4.02 is superintendent goals. We've been working on these for a while. I think we finally got them to a place that is in agreement with you and with me. So I guess this needs to be an action where y'all give approval of the goals. So I'll leave it up to you. I'm good with where they stand, so it's up to the board.
Board, any thoughts on the goals? We have worked on this for quite a while and had many sessions talking about that. And I will say that for the community, the whole point is for us to work together collaboratively as we're looking at improving our students' performance and just trying to move in a positive direction. And I feel very comfortable with the goals that we have come up with.
I'd like to make a motion to pass the superintendent goals for 25-26.
Motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes.
Thank you.
All right, next up is the consent agenda.
Make a motion, we approve tonight's consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. We're now to our student representatives, so who wants to go first?
They flip a coin earlier?
Good evening, everybody. First off, I'm just going to give a little bit more depth into who I am. So my name is Lamara Sales. I am a 17-year-old senior at Amherst County High School, as well as Central Virginia Governor School. As Secretary for National Honor Society, the Treasurer for our Student Council, and Student Liaison to this very board, I've been given an incredible opportunity to contribute to our school events, promote academic excellence, and help cultivate a positive and welcoming school environment. After high school, I plan to pursue a career as a clinical pharmacist, and I look forward to continuing to represent the student voice in the future. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Wyatt. I'm the head captain of the football and wrestling team at Amherst. I'm also currently dual enrolled into CVCC. My plans for life is to come back next year to CVCC and finish my associate's degree, and then later on the road start my own electrical company.
Thank you. Good job, guys.
Well, welcome to both of you. It's exciting to see the new faces and to hear from you throughout the year of everything that's going on at the high school. And so we look forward to having you at each of our meetings and being a part of the board. So thank you guys for dedicating your time, because it's going to take some time to plan and get your items to present to the board. And so as busy as your lives are already, we are appreciative of you doing that.
Thank you, sir. We also have a little bit more that we want to say.
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, so just a little bit about what we've been doing at the high school this fall. So this fall has been really exciting for our school, Amherst County High School. Some of the highlights have been, we had our senior sunrise, which is a special tradition we have every year, where we welcome the new school year together as a senior class, and we join on the football field together and watch the sunrise. Specifically this time, we had a mural painted with ACPS class of 2026, and everyone that was in attendance painted their handprints on the wall to commemorate the class. And I think that was a really meaningful way to start our year and to all come together as a class. Then the morning after the sunrise, we all gathered for a senior breakfast. Our culinary teacher, Chef Phillips, and his culinary students prepared a meal of biscuits, gravy, and eggs, and gave all the seniors a chance to connect and enjoy some time together in the morning time. We also had a very spirited pep rally in preparation for our school's first home game, football game. It was a great way to show our school spirit, and it was cool that we decided to recognize all fall sports instead of just the football team that day. Another thing is we have a wonderful addition to the school. The cafeteria is the most main attraction. There are new, very large windows in the cafeteria, and it opens up the space and makes it very open and bright. And it's a really great place for all the students to connect now. And that is where the breakfast was held. It was really nice. Looking ahead, there's other exciting events. We have our annual trunk or treat, which is sponsored by our senior class and the junior class and other teachers and students, and it's open to the whole county. And then later on in September, we're looking forward to our homecoming dance, will be held right after the football game in the new cafeteria.
Lamara mentioned at the pep rally about fall sports. I'm gonna give the fall sports report for tonight. Volleyball is having a great season so far. We are currently 4-1. We actually beat Appomattox, which we have not beat in 9 years. So that was a huge upset for us. The golf team's doing very good, especially Caitlin Baxter. She is winning tournaments or placing second, so she is doing a great job out there. The football team, we've started at a rocky start, 0-2 currently, but we have Mecklenburg Friday night at home. So that's a big help for us, and we've had a great week of preparation, so ready to get them tomorrow night.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Right, next we move into item 7, which will be instruction. Mr. Neighbors?
Yep. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'm a little bit upset. It's going to be a tough act to follow all year with our student representatives, but welcome, y'all. Several items for you this evening. The first is an update on federal pass rates. Initially, when this memo was drafted, this was embargo data, and the state quickly posted those to our school quality profiles that I emailed out to the board. No big surprises here. We were happy to see that we got a little bit of a bump off of that preliminary data that we reported in June. But ultimately, this is just raw pass rate, does not account for growth, recovery, any of those pieces that we were hoping to have a little bit earlier here, but we'll be getting later this month. So I'll be happy to answer any questions the board might have. All right. Moving right along on that note, we were hopeful, crossing our fingers, that we might have at least something we could share with the board tonight in regards to state accountability data. That was not available as of just a few minutes ago when I jumped on SSWS. I've been checking every couple of hours here for the last several weeks. What we do know is that that'll be to us at the very latest by the end of September. I'm hoping a little bit earlier, maybe even next week. Once we get that, we'll be sending that out to the board so y'all can take an initial look. I am going to be working with Dr. Wells to put some 2x2s on the calendar where we can bring folks in and get a little more in depth into some of that data, hopefully prior to the October board meeting. Just want to make sure we've got plenty of time to be able to go through that and really know where we're coming from a data standpoint. But again, be happy to answer any questions the board might have.
And we were looking tentatively October 1st and October 3rd as possible dates. If there are other dates that would be more, better for you, then just let us know. But we were kind of thinking the 1st and 3rd of October will be some times we could clear in our calendars if it suits you. Again, if it doesn't, just let us know and we'll find times to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think the thing that'll help too is we plan those meetings when we're looking at the data. If we can maybe have some ideas on, you can present ideas to the board on what we're doing to move that forward.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So I know I would greatly appreciate that, to know that we're already thinking about that piece of it. And
That's right.
what are we putting in place to make it better?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Yeah. All right. Well, if there are no questions, moving on to item 3, and I'm actually going to pump that back to Dr. Wells.
So the acceptable use of technology regulation, which we currently have, we have updated that to include artificial intelligence. So instead of doing an AI-specific regulation, we include it as part of our acceptable use. So that is at your place, and it's also in the protected section of board docs. What we really want to do with this regulation is to add AI protocols and constraints to the regulation. Our goal is to have age-appropriate use of AI. So elementary will be much different than middle, which is much different than high school. Tight control as far as elementary, they recommend no one under age 11 be able to write prompts and stuff like that in AI. So elementary school will be more teacher. Middle school, it gets to where you're doing a little bit of gradual release, and by high school will be more release for AI. But before we can do that, we need to train our staff and what the expectations are. But our goal basically, is to have safe and responsible use of AI. We want students to know how to do it safely and how to do it responsibly. So we're currently working with staff to make them aware. We had a meeting with principals on Monday on the generative AI platforms and division expectations for use. On the meeting, we will have a staff development day in November. We will be able to provide additional training for staff who wants to get that. I'll be leading that some with Amber, and we'll be kind of doing some of that work there as far as what is acceptable and what are we trying to get to with teachers. We're also looking at different platforms designed to monitor student use to make sure they're not going out here and getting into trouble or doing things they shouldn't be doing with it. So we want to look at what platforms meet our needs to monitor the use of AI. We want our students to be safe and responsible with this. We know AI is here. If you use one of these phones, if you use Facebook, if you use any social media, you're going to be using it. It's part of life, so we need to make sure our students understand what it is, how it can be used, and how it should be used moving forward. I would much rather us prepare students. We need to prepare students for this part of life, but also I'd much rather us get to a point where We teach them what's expected, what's acceptable. If they make a mistake, I'd rather that mistake be made with us than when they get into a career or they get into college, and that has a larger detrimental impact than a possible mistake with us while they're still learning, right? So I'd much rather us get that part with them now than have to deal with it later in life where they don't really not understand the parameters of what they're getting into. So we want to make sure our students are prepared for life, but we also need to make sure that they understand how AI works and what they can do and shouldn't do in a responsible manner. So that's kind of our goal. But we're starting with staff, and then second semester we'll start doing a slow release with students. So Mr. Goldman will be opening some, second semester we'll probably start opening some things up. If a teacher has a project they want to do and utilize it, then we can work that out with him to open some things up for student use as we move forward. So just want to give you that. So that regulation will go live tomorrow, but I wanted to make sure y'all were aware and you had a copy of it. Any questions?
Board, any questions, thoughts, or?
Yeah, I have just a couple. The current use of AI at the high school.
Yeah.
Have you ran into anything that's prompted you to add stuff to this? Is that where this came from because of stuff that you're coming in contact with?
We had, AI is fairly new, right? As far as that. So we didn't have any regulations regarding AI in our policy manual. So we wanted to add something now so we can make sure as we move forward and introduce this more to students and it becomes more available and I guess more widespread that we have a regulation in place, but we didn't have anything in place prior to. There's no actions that we felt led to us doing this, but we wanted to make sure that we had the regulation in place so we knew how to move forward as a division, and we had that guidance there as a division, how we're going to operate and move forward. Six of us last year went through some trainings through the state, and part of that was to come up, make sure we had these things in place and how we're going to incorporate it into our school. So that was kind of the reasoning behind it.
So understanding our staff, how are they accepting of it? Are they on board with it?
Some are ready to jump in and use it right now. Others are kind of a little cautious about it, and some I think we probably have a few that might be afraid of it. So we're trying to get those that are ready to go, working with those folks and make sure we can do maybe some pilot projects with them. But those who are a little more cautious, a little not as familiar with it, what can we do to expose them to it and how they can use that for their own personal life as well as with students, because there's some great tools out there they can use to assist them with instruction and how they're doing their teaching their classes. It could really help and take some of that time off of their plate that they can use in other ways. So we want to make sure they're aware of what's there and also how we can assist them in developing it moving forward.
And I'm sure we have students that are willing to assist also.
I'm sure we probably that know more about it than anybody sitting in this room, except maybe one or two.
No, thank you. That's all I had.
Anybody else? So, Dr. Wells, what is the current status of AI in our schools? Or is it being blocked, filtered, or? Right
now, it's basically being filtered for students, but not for staff. And then again, if a staff member wants to utilize it with their students, they can contact us, and I think Joe can figure out, Mr. Goldman, will allow some access in there. But currently, just because we haven't gone through the training with students yet as far as accessible use responsibilities and things like that, we didn't want to just open it up. So the teachers have access to it.
And so changing the acceptable use policy mid-year, so our parents, they sign that each year, our students sign it each year. Do you have a plan in place to have them re-sign it in January?
We'll get that straight. We haven't, as of right now, we don't have a plan so much in place, but as we get forward with this and start allowing students to utilize it, we'll be communicating with parents on the expectations and go with that route.
Right, but will we make sure they've signed the acceptable use policy before they give access to it?
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay, all right. I'll just say, I agree with you 100% that AI is here to stay, and if we don't teach our kids the proper way to do it, then we'll be doing them a disservice in the long run. So I'm glad to see that we are adopted. I attended some of the same trainings as you did over this past year with it, and So I'm happy to see that we're moving ahead with this.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Thank you.
All right, my last item this evening, the board has a memo related to our enrollment and pupil-teacher ratios, Took data from last year that we presented around about this time and gave a little bit of a comparison to the board of where we stand today. Overall, down a little bit, but you'll notice we've kind of redistributed some students who had a smaller class come in at the high school, and certainly seen that increase in some of our schools across the division. I did want to note for the board, as we were reviewing for this evening, we saw in that last sentence there an item that we needed to correct. So initially we thought we were up quite a few more students than we actually are. We had some exemptions there related to ADM that got pulled out. We're still up from where we projected in our budget, so that's a positive news, just not quite as much as we initially had hoped for with that. All in all, what I wanted to be able to provide the board was a breakdown by grade level, by school. It's all that supporting documentation that's provided there in board docs. As of right now, we're talking about class size reduction at the elementary level. Madison Heights is the only school where for our K-3 total teacher-to-student ratio, we're a little bit above where we need to be with that, and that'll be an action item that I work with Dr. Wells on here towards the end of the month once all that gets shaken out. Other than that, it'll be at the discretion of Dr. Wells and the board as to how we want to attack some of the increases in class sizes that we have. But wanted to provide that to the board, and as always, happy to answer any questions y'all might have.
Any questions? Is it too soon to be thinking about or to ask the question in the class at Madison Heights? Are we looking at bringing in a new teacher or an IA or what? What's the need?
Right. Yeah, the need at this point, I'm always leery to disrupt the established classes, especially at this point in the year. We've kind of gotten in and gotten our routines. We do have to, when we're looking at that class size reduction piece, look at a teacher. So we would likely post for that. Realistically, we're probably looking at an instructional assistant coming in and being able to fill that need, being able to work with the 3 classes at that grade level to make sure that they've got that support. We have one grade level that's a little bit higher than the others. Working with Mr. Hutchinson, that's likely where we would put that support, at least initially.
And so the IA that we added in the budget this past year to each of the elementaries, is that including that position already?
Yeah, it is concluded. So we're looking at all these different pieces. Ultimately, we're looking at licensed staff with us from a class size reduction standpoint, but that is already doing quite a bit of good, especially there at Madison Heights. Yep.
Okay.
But we would probably need, what we're probably going to see is end of this month, once we get to September 30th ADM, I want to make sure the numbers are where we think they will be. And I'll probably come into you in October with a request for a position at Madison Heights. But I didn't want to bring it now because I want to make sure the numbers are set before we do that, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a question? Look, you wanted to ask something. Go ahead.
No, that's okay.
So what I was going to say is that given where we are with testing and where the status where our students currently are, I would feel more comfortable if we reduce the class. I know you don't want to break up the classes you have today, but to me, it seems to make more sense to reduce the class size and put an actual teacher there so that we can have better instruction with smaller classes rather than keeping the larger size and adding an IA to it.
Yes, sir, and that's why we'd want to post for that teaching position transparently and just having to hire in the past at this time of year. I'm not optimistic that we would find a qualified candidate in September or October. That would be the primary concern, and I don't want to delay support. We would absolutely post. We would absolutely look for that teaching candidate, but likelihood would be an instructional assistant. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. All right, well, happy to answer any questions we're going forward, but that was it for me this evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
I do anticipate with the information coming from the state that next month will be a very heavy month dealing with instruction. So since we haven't but once we get the information from the state, I do anticipate next month being a instruction heavy meeting when we have our October board meeting. Okay. Next we have Dr. Hoden.
All right, first, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about construction. I would like to say, as our student rep said, it is nice to see some smiling faces as they walk through there on the first day of school and as they enjoy some of those spaces and members of the community. So it's been a very positive experience for them and as well as the community. So very glad we've been able to do this. Some of the things going on right now before I turn it over to Mr. Rokes, exciting as far as the field house, the netting is done for the baseballs, and they are actually putting turf in as we speak. Expected to last another couple days. They have to stitch it all up. It's all laid out, but they have to glue it down and then stitch it together. So that will be done. Some of the paving's being done, and we hope to have the CO for that next week. So that is a very exciting event, so that any activities we have out there from the next week or so, we'll have restrooms, concession stands, etc. As Mr. Rokes will show you, we'll be moving some of our foreign language classrooms into the new classrooms in the what was the old cafeteria. And then the new restrooms in the next couple of weeks, and then we will start moving kitchen equipment in the kitchen Monday. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Rokes, and then if you guys have any questions, we'll go from there.
All right, since Dr. Houghton's covered most everything, I'm going to go through a couple of pictures we're here to support it. As you can see, the kitchen floor has been laid down. The hood system on the right-hand side there is in the kitchen. So, again, hoping end of this week, first part of next week, they'll start putting some equipment in. Early this week, the freezer was turned on. You can see the light inside the door and actually standing inside the freezer just to test everything out. We'd actually turned it back off, that in the refrigerator, so they can start laying the floor so we don't get too much condensation before they lay the floor in there. This is looking from the kitchen out toward the serving room. The picture on the left was back in, I think the last time I showed you this was in July, since we did a presentation in August, and this is what it looks like today. I know it still looks a little rough, but at least we don't have ditches, unfinished floors, anything like that in there. This is sort of a panoramic view in there on the left and right side walls. All the tiles are up in those areas, and basically what's going to happen is the floor comes out of the kitchen. They'll finish that up and then start laying the floor here in the serving area. Some of the serving line equipment is already in place. Some more came in today. And what you're looking at there is you're looking out toward the new cafeteria. The left and right side plyboard you see is where the students will be coming in to eat. And then right there in the middle will be about a 22-foot wide roll-up door for the everybody to exit out of. Picture on the left is the new bathroom just inside the old exterior exit. That picture was back in July, and this is what it looks like today. We're still waiting for some divider panels to come in, and this is right across from the old gym. Where I'm standing right now on the left side of the picture, if you remember when we had open house, if you looked at that hallway, it was in pretty rough shape, and people were like, "How in the world are we going to open school up in a week?" So, and anyway, it happened. And this is what it looks like today on a day-to-day basis. This picture was taken about 5:15 this morning. So anyway, actually where I'm standing it used to be the sidewalk, the exterior part of the school. And if you can see the brick on the left and right there, sort of pointing toward the middle, that was the exterior walls of the school prior to all the construction. On the right-hand side, I'm standing in the corner looking down the CTE wing to the left and out to the right. That's actually the corner or the old auditorium and looking toward the front of the school there. Last week, this is when we filled in the old auditorium. Picture on the left, they brought in 3 hopper trucks with pure Portland cement. It goes up the hill to a truck on top of the hill connected to a fire hydrant. Ran through about 15,000 gallons of water, and it mixes with some other debris and things they mix in with the chemical stuff they mix in with the concrete. It basically comes out in a liquid format, something similar to flowable fill. And that's the picture on the right as we're starting to fill in the back part of the old auditorium right when they start pouring it in. And then what happens, this is looking from the stage out into the auditorium. So I'm standing where the nursing lab will be, and then you see a little concrete wall right there. That concrete cement wall or CMU wall will go all the way to the ceiling. And then on the left side, there will be 2 classrooms where the windows are. In the back right corner will be another classroom and a couple of offices up here close to the front there. And what's going to happen is where the old ticket booth used to be, will be a hallway coming down through there, going out to the right and going out toward the hall, the old CTE, going down to the CT hall there. So And then again, the nursing lab is where I'm standing at right now. So with that, the field they used to put in there, actually, they're putting on the left picture there, all the conduit in for the base, the wiring, electrical devices and things like that. A lot of it obviously is going to the floor and up in the walls. There'll be several different walls there to divide the classrooms out. The picture on the right is the plumbing line for the nursing lab, one of the lines in there, and that's coming across the old stage out into the old auditorium. And this is sitting actually in the nursing lab. This was early this morning too. One of the little mini Tracos they have in there to get around with and move dirt. It's hard to believe we have a mini Traco inside the school, but many things have been in there. This is the cosmetology lab, what will be the cosmetology lab, or the old band room is and choir room is right here. So the picture on the left, I'm standing in the corner of the old band room, looking where it used to be storage areas and offices in there. Those walls have already been demolished, and the one on the right is I'm looking basically from the doors that went into from the parking lot across the band room. So all that's demoed, and we are starting construction there here very shortly as well. As Dr. Hode mentioned in the field house, the nets are up, 3 different nets, 3 different lanes for batting cages, and then the long aspect would be for pitching as well. And just that, and then as he mentioned, also the turf came in early this week, and they start rolling out yesterday and putting it down today. So a lot of things are going inside the school. When we were building the new addition, you could see progress, and as you go down Lancer Lane, you don't see progress. You see a lot of trucks, a lot of people moving around, but nothing's being added. But it's a lot of work's being done. Again, we'll be actually the classrooms are getting cleaned tomorrow. We'll be moving those in tomorrow afternoon. So when the students come back on Tuesday after the teacher's work day, they will be starting in the new classrooms, and for the language classes, that is. What's coming up? Construct the walls in the auditorium and the new nursing lab. Begin construction in the cosmetology, and then also here shortly begin demo of the language classes for the new agriculture lab, which is when you come up Lancer Lane, the first parking lot to get you on the left-hand side, that brick wall there, where it used to be some garage doors. That's what we start demolishing here shortly. And then, as Dr. Hoden also mentioned, we're paving the road as we speak to the field house and installing the turf. And that's where we're at.
So lots going on inside that the naked eye doesn't see from the outside, but it's a lot of progress going on. So, questions?
Where are we at with budget on this? How are we looking on budget?
Yeah, we're in good shape on budget.
When you say good shape?
I could get you the figures. Yeah.
Well, the reason I ask this, and I've noticed a lot of hard work going into this, and I think it would be a good thing for Gary to get a little something, and all the work and everything he's put into it. I've seen even Friday, Gary running around and then working for the fair and doing this and doing that. It's just incredible the work that he does.
Yes, sir.
And if there was a way we could reward Gary for all his effort, because, I mean, he's got a passion for it. And I think the board may want to look at possibly, rewarding Gary for what he does. Because
Sure.
we can talk about it all day long, but a little vacation would be nice for Gary, I think.
If you could get him to take it.
Well,
If you could get him
that's
to take it.
we're going to confiscate both his cell phones.
And Mr. Rogers, I greatly appreciate it. I truly do. But, again, I spend a lot of time up there, but as well does Dr. Hoden. And but there's a lot of us who has put a lot, and Dr. Wells, too, has been putting a lot of time. He has a bigger picture to run as far as the division goes, and that's why he has us to do those type of things. But it's part of the job. And you're right, I do love what I do. I'm committed. I'm a graduate of 83 from the high school. And but it's part of the ball game. And I don't expect anything different than anybody else. And all I want to do is to live to see the end of this project, which would be great. And then be able to admire, as I retire somewhere down the road, years down the road, or whatever it may be, is to go by and I, I've said many times before, even my public safety career, this is somewhat more morbid, is that when I go through the county, I say, hey, I worked a fire here, I worked a fatal here, I worked a shooting there, I did this here, did that. I can ride up and down the roads of Amherst County seeing what I did there. And this will be the same thing. So, when I go, I can ride by the high school and say, hey, I graduated from there. In these years, we did these things. It cost me a lot of gray hair, and but that's all I need is knowing that we have a good place for our staff and students to get educated. That's all I need.
We definitely do appreciate the work you do. I don't want you to think that you go unnoticed.
No, we're good. It's just another day.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? I did have a question on, so we have a lot of construction taking place inside the building. Any issues, concerns with construction work and the students as they're traveling down to the CTE classes? And
I mean, every time we have construction meeting, we discuss any safety issues. Dr. Crawford, Dr. Crawford could fill you in. He's always letting Gary and I know of any issues, and he's also been talking to Ricky, our superintendent. So I'll let him speak to any of that.
Any issues regarding this?
just thinking about student safety, because we got a lot of construction
Okay.
taking place as students are walking by right there in the same building.
Yeah. So we have a really
Disturbances and, I saw they were saw cutting the concrete to get those conduits in. Just
And
thinking
that's all
about
in
the
an
whole.
enclosed,
you know,
that's all in the enclosed area. That's all blocked off, roped off. They come in and out of the old door, so those workers are, very separated from the
Yeah.
students.
So we have a really good working relationship with Jamerson Lewis, Moore's Electric, and pretty much everybody else that's there on a daily basis before they really do anything that's going to have workers either walking through the hallway, walking through the cafeteria, being out where they may potentially be around students. The folks at those companies come and see me, or they come see Dr. Hoden, or they come see Mr. Rogues. I can't tell you how many times they've probably come to me in the last 5 weeks that we've been open for school and say, hey, just letting you know, we're working on this in the auditorium, but we've got to go from the auditorium to the old cafeteria where the new Spanish classrooms are going to be. Do you mind? And it's just something as simple as that, as them just coming and asking me that. I know that they're thinking about our student safety as well. My biggest priority, and first day of school, we have a expectations meeting with all of our students to let them know what's going on. And I don't think there's anybody at the high school, that student or staff, that doesn't understand my expectation in terms of construction. And it was made very clear that no students, no staff go into any construction areas whatsoever. We monitor those areas during class changes. We have adults outside of the old auditorium, outside of the old cafeteria where the new classrooms are going to be. And we consistently have adults that are outside of the old auditorium on the outside of the building as well that are working there. So that's our number one priority.
Good. Thank you.
All right. Yes, sir.
Anything else?
I think we're good.
All right, next on my agenda, safety drills. Well, all the schools have completed their allotted fire drills and lockdown drills. We did hold and secure drills, where in those drills we led students on through what the expectations are during a real lockdown. We used the Entrado app on our phones to ensure that those that had the app, that it did what it was supposed to, notified 911, all the SROs, et cetera. So we're, knock on wood, we're in pretty good shape with all the drills at the beginning of the year. Next, the Verizon Tower update. I did send you all an email with all the questions except for number 2. Nate had promised me, he said that Verizon was being very difficult in getting him the answer to number 2. But all those other questions that were sent, I sent to you in an email the other day. So if you have any questions on that, feel free to email me back or let me know. And we're still on for our public hearing, so
The community,
the community meeting, right?
and that is still scheduled for Manellison. Looking at this site, we plan on holding it in the cafeteria, the actual meeting in the cafeteria. We'll have screen and chairs and things for people. We'll have computers and they do a survey to give you feedback. We are preparing the communication for parents to go out, I believe, next week. And Verizon has given us a picture of a balloon test that was done at another site, so you can kind of see it. It's a red balloon up in the air, so you can see it. The picture they gave us is kind of small as far as the balloon itself, so we'll have to do some magic work there to make it so you can see it well. But we'll have that communication going home to our families next week regarding the test date.
All right, board, any questions on that? Yeah, I will say, I've seen the balloon test. We did it where I work, and it is small, but it's just to represent the height.
Right.
And that's where you're not trying to see the size of the tower,
Right.
but how tall it is, so.
All right, next, Mr. Chair, members of the board, you have the student suspension report for August.
Any questions?
All right. 8.03, student services update. So first, you have a memo that was sent on the Best Labs, and with all that information in there, and if you have any questions on that before we move on to the next one. I believe there were some questions that were asked that we provided you answers for yesterday as well. Some members had some questions on that.
Any follow-up questions from the board on that? I think we're good.
All right. Next, there was a memo sent on the mental health grant. We updated that memo to you today. I don't know if you had a chance to look at that.
Give me a couple seconds. So on that, after speaking with some school administrators and getting feedback from them, speaking with board members on some of their concerns, we kind of looked at this, what is in the parameters of the mental health grant that we can do to ensure that the parents are strictly involved and it doesn't put a undue onus on our building administrators and staff to monitor telehealth services. So we kind of restructured it. So what you should have in board docs, I believe was attached to board docs, Brittany. So in board docs, we attached the new memo, and we'll go through that with you now as to what the expectations are and how we plan on rolling this out. So you can kind of understand our general direction here and what we want to do to provide services to our students. So Dr. Hood.
Yep. So the memo kind of lays it out. We made some changes, but I want to kind of back up and start from the beginning on this telehealth. So basically, we're choosing telehealth because we're trying to ensure that all the students at Amherst County Public Schools continue to have consistent access to high quality mental health supports. The reason for telehealth is because in May, we were told by the state that this is the direction that they were moving to, and it was mainly for rural divisions that didn't have all the supports of the mental health. So being that we are one of those, so the monies that were provided to us have to be used for telehealth. Okay, with that, and again, that grant was for $300,000, and about $45,000 of that we can use for, for actually people. The rest of it is to be used for the grant. So again, that was in May, and so that was a quick turnaround, and we want to provide access to online mental health supports for all ACPS students from home, meaning that services are available evenings, weekends, breaks, holidays, etc. We feel that at home, parents can have a better monitoring of some of that. I know some of the board members had some concerns about what the students may or may not hear while they're in the sessions at school. So our goal there would be to change that a little bit and provide those from home. We would, however, if that was an issue, we do have some things in planning that if the parent could not provide that, we have some safeguards in there so that we could provide those at school. I will tell you that we talked to another school division today, and they said that less than 10% of theirs are provided, at the school. Most of them are at home. We are hoping to talk to another school division that actually uses the same health provider. I can't mention the health provider by name because we haven't signed the contract yet. So we're still working on that. So With the federal funding unchanged, Amherst County Public Schools has partnership with 2 community agencies to provide in-person outpatient, so we still do have some in-person, okay? But this would be another tool where parents could access this at home at nights or weekends. The logistics, so our plan for implementation is a slow rollout.
That's for me. Sorry. So, keep going.
Our plan for I thought I met my time already.
You're getting close.
Our plan for implementation is a slow rollout of telehealth services. Places to emphasize are engaging for our families. The rollout will heavily emphasize the use of telehealth services from home outside of the normal school hours. By providing access to virtual telehealth services, we ensure families remain central in the process, ensuring parents give consent for services and being key decision makers in supporting what is best for their students. So parents will have access to the online telehealth providers and schedule at-home telehealth sessions with the information provided by Amherst County Public Schools. Allows a parent to remain in control, be involved in the service provided, and schedule the sessions that are convenient for them. So those are some of the big benefits. Privacy and safety, it's our obviously top concern with the families having the ability to schedule virtual telehealth sessions at a time that's convenient for them. They maintain oversight of the process. So students would still use their own devices for the sessions outside of the school day. All the telehealth, mental health care providers are licensed Virginia providers experienced with school-aged children. Division staff will work to analyze the data. And basically, the last thing, if you have any questions, while this change is unexpected, we have acted quickly and thoroughly to preserve funding to ensure our students continue to receive critical mental health support.
Board, any questions, comments?
Chair, or Mr. Vice Chair, sorry. Underneath implementation and safeguards, you said that parents will be encouraged to schedule the telehealth sessions outside the regular school, but in specific situations, a parent may request for it to be held at school. What are those specific situations?
Could be possibly, their internet at home isn't sufficient. Could be a scheduling conflict. We don't anticipate many of those, especially to start, but if a parent says we don't have the ability to do that at home, we don't have internet, we would still like our child to undergo the services. Can you help us with that?
And part of that also, the caveat to that too is, one, the scheduling. Do we have staff available and do we have space available? So the building administrator would be working with the parent. If the parent were to say, I can't do this at home today, could you, or next week or whenever. If we don't have the staffing available to do that at that time, we'd have to work that out with the parent as well. Right. But the main thing would be, our main point of emphasis would be that this should be something outside of school hours and at home. But if a parent were to call us and request that we facilitate it, I would like to be able to work with that parent and find a way to facilitate it if they're asking us to do it in that capacity. So as Dr. Hoden said, we spoke to another school division today, and they have 13,000 students in their school division. They have 26 students that are participating in telehealth services. So it's not a huge number. If you took that equation for us, it'd be like 6 if you do the math. So, but we do, again, our thought process on this, after talking to school building administrators and talking with some of the board members, will be making sure the parents are the decision makers in this process and are available and are there. And if the parents do decide to participate, they do it at home. But if there's an issue at home that they need us to become more of a partner with them, to provide a space at school, then we try to work with them to do so.
Has anyone contacted any of our local health centers, Johnson Health Center, whatever, see if they can partner with us? I mean, to me, we have the responsibility of academics, but I'm seeing that we are going to have administrators having to schedule with parents. We're having staff members having to escort students back and forth. Is this something that some of our local health facilities could help, if we provided the room, that they came in and did
So
something
we
like
had to
this
go
where
through the
our staff
RFP.
is
We had to go
focused
through the
on
RFP
academics?
process. So we're, the three that we have are the ones that, that we've selected through the RFP process.
Johnson's Health had, anybody locally, Johnson's Health, for example, could have participated in the RFP process, but the ones that participated, we had to go with that. I'm not saying we haven't reached out, but as far as this particular grant, it has to be, the state is requiring it to be telehealth. We don't have an option to use this grant. Now, if Johnson's wants to come in and work with us to provide additional services, that's fine, but I can't use this grant to pay Johnson's Health anything because their state requires it to be telehealth. We don't have an option to do anything other than telehealth with this grant.
Well, I know that it's optional for us as far as our state law goes,
Right,
but the grant is what ties us to it.
correct.
So we have secured a grant prior to any policy even being written.
We haven't, we have applied for the grant. We've been told we are eligible to receive the grant. We have not accepted the grant. We have until October 1st to tell the state that who our telehealth contractors are. If we don't have any, if the board does not give me a consensus tonight to move forward with this, then we don't get the grant, and we don't have any of the, we can't provide these services for our students. But it's $300,000 grant that by October 1st, if the board says, no, I don't want you doing this, then we don't do it.
Right.
If you want us to do it, we will do it.
And Ms. Thompson, one thing real quick.
Don't get me wrong, I support mental health
Yes, ma'am.
services. But I also see a lot of open unknowns here. How much time is our staff going to be required to
Well,
facilitate this?
yes, ma'am.
I do appreciate that it has, parents' permission and they're involved in that. But I still think that until we know what kind of time limits that we're going to have, and it says that, this is a mental health grant. I know up at the beginning, it just says that we're going to be doing telehealth counseling. What's happening to our regular counselors?
Our school counselors will do their job. If a teacher or a student comes to that school counselor and says, I need additional supports, need additional help, that school counselor would get with David Smith, who would do the assessment. They would contact parents, and the parents would say, this is you have an option of doing this if you want, and then the parent has the option to allow their students to participate at home. I think what we had originally was more of an in-school basis. What we're saying right here tonight is this is at home outside of school hours. The only time it would come into the building would be if a parent cannot be there to facilitate it at home, then they requested us to do it at school, then we would try to find a time. The building administrator, parent would work together to find a time that is mutually beneficial so it doesn't impact the students as far as instruction. It doesn't pull the administrator away from their duties. And therefore, we have listened to the board and listened to our building administrators to try to make this something we can still do to provide services for those students, but do it outside of school where the parent is the one there with the child and not one of our staff, because the parent needs to be the one to know what the questions are being asked and what is being stated. And again, it's up to them. But we did want to separate it from the school, but also we wanted to have a caveat in there. If that parent calls and says, I just can't do it at home tonight, can you do something in the building with my child? We would try to work with him to do so. But the whole point is to do it with the parents outside of school hours.
And I appreciate that, and I think that that parent should be involved outside of school hours. Is it possible that parents can be involved if they do it during school hours?
Yes. There's nothing that says they couldn't, but again, as you said, there's a lot of unknowns, and this is new, and we're working through the process. That's why I want to do more of a slow rollout where it's
Right.
at home and the parents dealing with it there versus in the building. Again, we don't know how many students are even going to need to participate, but we do want to make sure that if a student if that need is there, that we can try to find a way to meet it. If you're trying to find mental health support here in our area, is very difficult. I mean, I know with a family member, they told me it'd be 6 months so they could see somebody. And I was like, well, they might be dead in 6 months. And that didn't seem to matter. So we do have issues in our community with that, but this is just one way. I'm not saying this is the right way, the best way, but this is what we're having to deal with right now. And again, this is just one thing that I think that doing it this way with them being at home does take a lot of the pressure off of our building administrators. And that's one thing they said to us on Monday was, you know, there's a lot of questions, and there are a lot of questions, I admit. But this is one way we can incorporate, we can do this while still taking the pressure off our schools, but still offer the service to the families that may need it.
And two things real quick. Remember that it was May 27th when the state decided that this was going to be telehealth. So it was kind of like the rug was pulled out a little bit as we prepared for this. And then we found out at almost the 9th hour that it was just going to be telehealth. That kind of left us, you know, rolling with that. So they decided that. And then also I understand, because we had our principals meeting and talked to them a little bit about this, and we are concerned about overwhelming anyone. That's why we kind of made the change to the at-home. As Dr. Smith oversees this, and we think that there's going to be more of a need at the end school, remember, we do have some funds available in this grant that we could hire a person to assist that as well. So we're just, that's, as Dr. Wells said, that's why we're trying to slow roll this out, just to see how it comes. But we do understand some concerns, but we want to make sure we have this tool for parents if it's needed, and not to close the door on any student that might need some extra help.
So is there money enough in the grant to provide one person at each of the buildings to help facilitate this?
No, ma'am, we have $45,000 that we can use, and that's it.
And my thought process on that, if we get to a point where it's more in the building versus outside the building, would be, or if we see the need, would be to hire someone. We have two options. We can hire one individual who would rotate between the schools. And so if the appointments need to be made, say Amherst County High School, they could make appointments for Amherst County High School on the 2 days that person's there. They could be at the two middle schools, the 2 day, you know, 1 day each there, and they could rotate through the elementary schools if there was a need there. So you could have one person oversight of this who would be rotating around and be the ones making sure things are scheduled, with Dr. Smith and the telehealth. Or you could, if you had staff members, you could use that money for stipends. I would think I would rather have a person, if we need a person, as opposed to stipends. Then I'm still pulling somebody from their other duties, just giving them a stipend to kind of oversee, as opposed to hiring an individual to do that. But again, I think going the way we had it planned, laid out tonight, was going the family route, that we would have time to see, okay, it's the families, what the use is, and if it does become more of an issue, then we could use those funds to hire an individual to support the program.
So, Dr. Wells, I will just say, the way it was presented the first time, I probably wouldn't have supported it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Primarily because it seemed as though we were taking on the responsibility and we were leaving the parents out of it. And I don't think we ever want to put ourselves in a situation where we're excluding parents. They're their kids, and they need to be the decision makers, and they need to be involved in any, especially mental health. The second thing is that it's obvious that mental health support is needed and is increasing. That need is increasing year after year. And the other thing that I think comes to mind is that without this grant, if a student went to a school counselor and said that I'm thinking about killing myself or needed some type of mental support, we would be there to support that child, correct?
Correct. Yes.
So I don't know that it's so much adding to a counselor or whoever. It's part of what I think our responsibility is as a school division to support our kids, and especially their mental health. So I'm glad to see that you changed it. So now it puts it back to the parents. It gives them their choice. They're involved in the process. And certainly if they need to come to the schools to use the internet for that services, we can certainly make that available, so.
Students in crisis, regardless whether we have this grant or not, a student in crisis, we wouldn't call telehealth and say, hey, I got a student in crisis. We would go through our threat assessment, and if it was a point where that was deemed necessary, they would have to go over to get evaluated at Virginia Baptist or another mental health professional.
Right, this is a layer on there.
This is a tier 3 support for somebody who may have already gone through that initial issue. They just need additional supports to get through. But it's more of a tier 3 support for students and those needs.
Right.
Mr. Chair, I'm glad you added what you just said, because before that, it was looking like we was giving up the ship. You see, and I'm big on mental health now more than ever, and I think everyone is. And I may know this, but I'm just getting myself straight. Who's seeing these children now in our system? Counselors or Dr. Smith?
Dr. Smith, do you want to speak to that?
I'm going to be quick. I didn't want to get too drawn out, but Dr. Wells brought up something important. Who sees this child right now that's in crisis today in the school system?
So when all this was taking place, when we weren't sure what was going to happen with the grant, we went out and got outpatient providers. 2 outpatient providers you talked about in Johnson Health. We have 2 local providers to come into the schools to support our students. All 10 schools have counselors that can come in and support the students. The only issue with that, it has to go through their insurance, and there's only certain insurances that will cover that. We still have money in the federal grant that we can utilize some for the crisis interventions.
But under a crisis, just to make sure I understand Mr. Ligon's question, is when a student comes to the office and says, I'm thinking of killing myself, right? Or I'm going to do bodily harm or threaten or hurt somebody else, who are the people, how does that go from the student makes that report to them being assessed and so forth? Who's doing those assessments in our buildings?
Yeah,
So we do threat assessments, and as a threat assessment team, at that point, it's determined whether they need to go to Virginia Baptist or Horizon and so forth. We also have set up afterwards a crisis intervention team where they will come and they can meet with the students from those particular agencies that I was referring to. I'm not going to list the names here today, but that's what we have in place. So once they leave, they'll go to that particular agency if that's what was determined by the threat assessment team. And then once they come back, we'll provide those supports that will be in place.
That's good information to add to this situation, because at first it's kind of a lopsided situation, not that this isn't real. And I think we're all aware that everybody now wants you to go to tele somebody.
Correct.
And I'm not sure, and the grant is great, so we're not saying anything negative, we just got to get an understanding, because for people listening to this, it's a vague understanding. So, well, what are you doing now? And then you threw the piece in about insurance. Well, we're not talking about insurance right now in a crisis.
I understand
But I do
that.
understand what you were saying, don't misunderstand. But I just think that this is, as Ms. Thompson had asked some questions about, I read it earlier and I was going to ask 1 or 2 things, but I saw that the questions that came through were fairly sufficient. But I just think, we just need to be clear. There's 2 things we're talking about here, but we do at this time have a setup for situations. Is that right?
That is 100% correct.
Yeah. And you mentioned, I don't need to, outside people, but in the school system, we have a crisis assessment.
We have a threat assessment team.
Threat assessment, okay.
Correct.
And so where would this come in on that?
As far as this could be something that we can utilize with the counselors and so forth. If they recommend them to see them afterwards, then, and the parents agree, it's still parents-led, like we
So to the telehealth
said.
situation.
Yes, we can use the telehealth at that, but it's still parent-led, and it was to be in the home.
I got that part.
So-
But time is of the essence with these sort of things.
I agree.
So by the time we find out if you have internet at your house or not to deal with this, I'm just saying, but we do have intervention in the school right away.
Correct.
Okay,
And we
I'm
also
good.
will determine that after they're going, if they did have a stay at a hospital setting per se, we would meet with the parent, try to get the releases from the setting that they were in, discuss with the parent what needs they have at home, if they do have that capability at home to be able to provide that service. And then if they didn't, we would make arrangements inside. We also have strategies in place for when that student comes back to be successful moving forward.
Quite a few pieces.
There's
But it
always-
sound like, well, yeah, it sound like you've laid them out, but, you know, it's all good. Thank you for answering those.
Thank
I
you.
just want to get
Well,
things
and
straight.
Just for clarification, so we're not going to be reducing or limiting anything that we're currently doing.
No, sir.
I just want to emphasize, this is yet another layer,
tool,
another
yeah.
piece
Right.
of the mental health support that we're providing as an opportunity for our students.
This is an additional layer, like what had happened is I was worried about when this grant was ending. Okay, so that's when I started looking at other entities to be able to help to provide support in case we didn't have this grant. So that's when I started reaching out to different agencies to find outpatient support. So they can come into the school and provide that service inside the school. This is just an added layer that we currently have as another resource for our parents and for our students.
In the past, the grant was used to pay in-person folks to come into our buildings, and now we can't do that. We're still trying to utilize the ways to do it with the federal side of it, but with the state side of it, we can't do that, so we had to go to the telehealth route, and that's what led us to all this. But
Yeah.
it's not by our choice. I think it does add a situation, another element for the parents to be engaged and involved in the process, as opposed to just coming through the school. They can do it at home, and they're more involved in the process as well with the telehealth.
And it can be a family session as well, and it doesn't have to, with the telehealth, it doesn't just have to be for the student, it could be for the family as well. So it could be a whole situation. It could be beneficial for that whole family that's involved.
It's ideal though, so you're talking the ideal world.
Oh, yeah, everything's an ideal world, right?
No, I'm not on the negative. I'm just
yeah.
saying, that sounds really great. We all sit down, the Brady Bunch, let's have dinner and look at telehealth about your mental health. 1 in 5 wouldn't do that, maybe 1 in 2. So long as you have already clarified that we have a system in place to continuously facilitate mental health for our children, then I'm good.
Yes, ma'am, that's the most important thing we need to have in place, and we do have that.
Board, any other questions, comments, thoughts? Dr. Wells, do you need a consensus from us tonight?
I need a consensus, and I know we've discussed this a while, but I just need a consensus. I didn't want to sign any contracts of any providers before getting the feeling of the board. So I just wanted to get a consensus from the board.
Dr. Wells?
Sir?
I appreciate you took in consideration the board, and we've had these conversations about telehealth, and I think you've come up with probably the best solution for where we're at. I'm not saying it's perfect. I do believe it's a better solution than just going in this blindly and allowing telehealth to do what telehealth does. Keeping the parents engaged, I think, is going to be critical to that, because there may be references or things that the parents will see and to help our students. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. And it was a concern of mine also. And how long will the grant be effective for? Is that a calendar year? Is this something we're going to have to apply for every year?
You can just.
Okay, forever.
It's an annual grant, and it actually runs from, there's 2 pieces to the grant. There's a state grant and a federal component. The state grant runs July 1st to June 31st, whereas the federal component runs October 1st to September 30th.
Okay,
So each is 1 year.
gotcha. Thank you.
Right. Saunders,
I'm good with it.
Thompson,
Not as written.
sounds right. Ms. Ligon?
I've asked all my questions, got good answers, but just just note that I would like it monitored closely by whoever that is working. But yeah, I don't want to turn down grant money, and I don't want to lose the opportunity for parents to chime in on helping their children. Probably one of the prime reasons that I'll support it, as long as we get an update on it as time goes on.
We can do quarterly updates. Does that work?
On this year, yeah.
Yes.
All right, Dr. Wells, I think you have your answer.
Okay, thank you. I need to.
All right.
We're at finance.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Before you tonight are your August financial and attendance reports. As stated previously this evening, the enrollment numbers are up from what our budget was built on. Our budget was based off of an ADM of 3,615. And as you can see in the August enrollment report, it is showing 3,649, which is up 34 students. It's definitely a better place this year than we were last year, because last year at this time I was reporting that we were down 21 from where we were with our budget. So definitely is an improvement. We'll just keep watching those numbers. It is early in the year. From the other reports, there's no area of concerns, and it's just something we're going to keep monitoring. But I'll take any questions you may have on the finance reports.
Board, any questions? I did have a question. I'm assuming we do, like many school divisions, we purchase a lot of stuff from Amazon.
That'd be correct.
And do we have an approval process when staff members put in an order for Amazon? Does that go through an approval process, or do they?
From the school level, they have the bookkeeper and the principal have the purchase order process that they have to do before they place the order. At the division level, all the purchases go through the finance office, and that goes also through a purchase order process. And the person does not place the order until they have the approved purchase order, and then the requester sends the links to the finance department as well.
So for those, then I guess you kind of are the approver for that then?
Yes.
So then
For the
the
purchase
principals
order.
are the approver for the purchases at the schools?
That would be correct.
And do we ever review any of those purchases over time? Just looking at like what we're buying from Amazon?
Oh, we look at everything.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So this evening, I have another item. It is 9.02, and that is the proposed budget calendar. It is very similar to last year. We wanted to present it to you similar in the format that there's a public hearing before and after the superintendent presents the budget proposal. The one thing on this proposal is that there are, from the county side, there are some dates that have not been determined yet. So we didn't want to hold this up because the beginning part of this calendar is primarily our work schedule, but we can update that once the county has their budget calendar in place. Do you have any questions?
Board, any questions on the calendar? Any thoughts? Seems like you're good now.
Thank you.
Okay, we are at 10, information items from Human Resources.
All right, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board. The first item we have for HR this evening is the vacancy memo for the month, and I'm happy to take any questions you may have regarding that memo.
Board, any questions on the vacancy memo? You're good, sir.
All right, thank you, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Rose.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and board members. Just wanted to spotlight 2 events that we have happening in the month of September for our employees. We are spotlighting wellness this month. On Monday, we're going to have an employee pop-up event at Amherst Middle School where we'll have blood pressure checks, hearing screenings, and vision screenings, also a couple of giveaways and healthy snacks. So we're really pushing and promoting that and hoping that we can do some more of those on teacher work days when they have the option to drop in whenever they're available. The second activity this month is the run and walk, the Virginia 10-miler, Virginia 4-miler, and the Virginia 4-mile walk. That's going to be held at EC Glass on September 27th. We opened registration to any full-time or part-time employee who wanted to participate, and we have representation from every school in the division. So far, I think we're up to 35 registrants, and I see some other names on the list. Hope to see you there. Whether you're walking, cheering on the sidelines, or actually running, I don't know. I know what I will be doing, slow walk. But we are really trying to promote wellness and trying to engage our activities and put things out there for our staff from multiple interests to try to pique their wellness and let them know it's important to us. Now
I'm tired just thinking about all that.
More to come.
We don't.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Wells is back, so I'll turn it over to him for superintendent matters.
All right, thank you, Dr. Hood. Members of the board, Mr. Chair, members of the board, I just want to go through a few things with you. We had our community tailgate on September 5th, which was last Friday. We had over 300 people stop by. We lost count, but we know it was over 300 because that many hamburgers were missing. So we know we had over 3. I want to thank you who were able to attend and stop by, and appreciate y'all taking the time. We do have 2 staff tailgates coming up. That'll be September 26th and October 17th. We'll send you reminders as we get closer, but the 26th and 17th will be our staff tailgates, and that's open to anyone. We used to do it where we separated middle school, elementary, and secondary. I just told them if you can get to one of them, get to it and enjoy it. Get to both of them, get to both of them. I mean, just come out and try to have some social time together outside of that school environment where you can just let your hair down a little bit and relax. Show up day will be September 26th, and again, that's for attendance. That works towards our attendance as our show up day. A lot of schools will be doing activities. Some are going to do it. I think Amherst Middle's actually doing theirs on the 30th, but the division level one is the 26th, and we'll give you dates if anybody's doing something different and times are doing stuff at their building on that. But again, we're working towards that September 30th ADM and making sure kids come to school. The Lions Club is going to hold a wellness fair at the high school. They'll be using a new dining area and down the hallway there towards the gym for that event. That's September 20th. This is the third year for their wellness fair. And it's just to get families out. They have a lot of community partners that come in with them and are there for that. And so just to get, again, to provide a service to the community, that we partner with them on that. Constitution Day is September 17th, and our schools be holding events. And somewhere I had a list of all those events. I don't know where it went. Dr. Crawford, what's the high school doing while I'm trying to find it?
We've got a few different events planned.
Come on up here.
We've got a few different events planned at the high school. Every single year for Constitution Day, at least the last 3 years that I've been at the high school, our U.S. history and government classes have really taken the reins and developed some activities. They've had some fun project-based activities for their students leading up to Constitution Day. They even had a year where students got to make their own constitutions for their classrooms, and then they had their classmates vote on those in the cafeteria, which was really neat. We've got announcements that we make in the morning, and then obviously we signed the declaration that morning.
And Mr. Jordan's going to be wearing a Constitution shirt with hat and wig.
Yeah, so if you want to come by and get a laugh, that will be excellent. And last year, everybody asked him who he was with his wig, and he kept saying James Madison. If you know anything about James Madison, he was a very tiny man, and Mr. Jordan is not.
Amherst Middle School, the SCA, is going to be doing some events there, creating a video for teachers to show during the Cougar Connections. Amherst Elementary, they have the student pledge printed out on a banner. Each student and staff will take the time to sign the school constitution. Additionally, they're going to make a reference during the morning announcements, and grade levels have their activities. At Elin, they're going to sign the Elin Constitution with students and Constitution trivia all week for morning announcements and various planned activities and so forth. So we have stuff going on at every school. There's a couple more on the back. Thank you, Mr. McNerney. And Madison Heights, the school recognized Constitution Day through morning announcements and by providing opportunities throughout the day, share information with the students, and Temperance will have their annual 5th grade signing the Constitution document. So most of our schools, all of our schools are doing something along that day, but this is just a few examples of what's going on for Constitution Day. And that is next week. If you would like to go to any of the schools, feel free, just let me know. If I can join you, I will. And but if you want to go to schools, let me know, and I'll make sure the principal knows you're coming, and we can work that out. The VSBA annual convention is November 19th through the 21st. We made reservations for all of you. If you do not want to go or you cannot go, please let Ms. McNerney know so we can cancel those room reservations and make other arrangements. So if you're going, great, we'd love to have you come. But if you can't, I realize that, just let Brittany know so we can cancel the reservations. We do have 2 of our staff members, Mr. Neighbors and Dr. Smith will be presenting at, Dr. Rose, excuse me, at the event this year. sorry, Wanda, at the event this year, so they'll be there presenting as well. So if you can make it, make it. If you can't, that's fine, just let us know.
Dr. Wells, what will they be presenting on?
The Amherst Leadership Academy.
Okay. It's just good to know that. So great work on you two for that. So.
October 23rd, we have the scheduled budget priorities meeting with the board. It's from 10 to 1, excuse me, on the 23rd of October. And so that's scheduled to be here. So that's just going over, like we said last year, what are your priorities before we go into budget season to make sure that we're prioritizing what you're prioritizing in the budget. So October 23rd from 10 to 1 o'clock. And that'll be here at the school administration building. Finally, Delegate Tim Griffin has asked to tour Amherst County High School on September 23rd. We know it's going to be in the morning, but his staff has not given us an exact time that he will be there. I will let you know as soon as we know, but he wants to see the addition as well as the CTE aspects of the building, so we told him we'd be glad to have him stop by and show him around the building and the facility. So I just don't know the exact time yet. Once we get the time, we will let you know, but we know it's going to be September 23rd. And then at your place, you have some badges. You look official now. So you have school board badges. They don't open the doors. You still have to buzz in, but you do have a badge. Okay. So that, and we're also, by next board meeting, you should have a Amherst County School Board polo shirt you can wear. So if you go to events and things like that, you can wear that. Or you can wear it to meetings, whatever. But it would have this Amherst County School Board and a nice polo. But that'll be coming to you. It's not, they didn't come in yet, so they'll be next month. Okay. Any questions for me?
Board, any questions, comments? All righty, so we'll move on to 12.01 and 13.01 together, and we'll start with Mrs. Saunders.
All right. First, it was a great turnout. Thank you, Dr. Hoden and Dr. Wells, for cooking, and Mr. Rokes, and,
They wouldn't let me cook.
well, I'm glad.
His hamburgers were better, and that's the
I'm going to tell you, I had a hot dog, so I don't know. But thank you. It was very nice. Lots of people, and everyone had a positive response, so good job. I want to say a big thank you to transportation. I had I say little friend, she's now older, but I knew her when she was younger, and she has a kindergartner in our school. And she was getting off the bus, and she told her mom, she goes, gosh, what a big responsibility these bus drivers have. And it's not until you have one of your kids on a bus do you really realize that. So thank you, transportation. That is a big responsibility. Thank you all for streamlining today. It's worked out well, I think, and I appreciate that. You know, I like a short meeting. So thanks, that's all I have.
Yeah, I enjoyed the tailgate party. We had a few last year, but this one I think was the biggest one we've had.
It's the largest one we've
by
had.
far. It was just incredible to see everybody out and enjoying themselves and eating some hamburgers and hot dogs. No, actually, well, the count might be off because I did eat two, so the count might be off a little bit. But it was a pretty good game. A pretty good game too. We did not do as well as I wished, but the kids are out there. They're doing their thing, and I think everybody enjoyed their time there. It was nice to have the first home game, and we got more to come. So I hope a lot more people come out for those games. And you know, some of the kids, I did walk around in the school before the game, and you know, the kids are so excited about that new space. It's like everybody it's the hangout now. Am I right, Joey? It's where we want to be. and I'm sure they're excited about the new classrooms, the new nursing classes and cosmetology. It's exciting to be a part of all that, you know, and it's been a long week for me personally. I think, you know, I just want everybody here to know that, you know, you matter, you make a difference, and I appreciate all the hard work that everybody does, because what you do matters. And I know I kind of brought Gary out a little bit, but he's been on my mind lately, and I see him a lot. Like, I don't know. I don't wonder if his wife sees him as much as I do. Yes, yes, absolutely. Matter of fact, Gary, I think we had that conversation just before the game started, as you're headed over to. Yes, that's what you said. As you're headed over to the fair, and yeah, I just want everybody to know I appreciate what you do, and I know the community does, and your support for the board and the things you do going through telehealth, it's important for everybody to understand that it's not just one person making a difference, it's everybody, and we're here for our children, we're here for our community, and I appreciate the opportunity to sit here and be a part of this board, and I want to thank everybody, and that's all I have.
Thompson.
Well, we did have our STEM meeting this week. CVC and STEM both held their informational meetings, allowing students to get together and know each other and learn the campus. So they had a good turnout to that. All of our slots are filled with 4 seniors and 4 juniors. There's a slight cost increase just because salaries are going up based on budgets from this past year. They do internships where the students always go out and work with businesses, and we have 2 new ones this year. I'm trying to remember the names, but I'm going to do that next week. But we have a good number of internship businesses, but we've had 2 added to that, and they're going to hopefully get 2 more this year. That's their goal. And the internships, the students really enjoy them. They build good relationships with the businesses. And we were informed that a lot of the businesses do tend to hire some of our students from STEM for their business upon graduation, and that quite often the businesses will pay for credentialing or for further education for those students. So it's a great opportunity for them. They're getting ready to do student interviews, so that students can just have practice, bring their resume, answer questions, and they always get very, very nervous, but they're looking for volunteers, which will be later this month. So if you're interested, let me know, and we'll get your name on there. So we had a very good meeting for that. I would like to encourage people in the community near Manelison, as well as parents that have children there, anybody who's interested about the cell tower on September 25th. I think it's at 6 o'clock.
Yes, ma'am.
So we as a board just want to hear from you and be able to get your questions answered. So that's a good opportunity. And I just want to express that I do support mental health, and I know that it is a very needed support. I appreciate the Tier 3 supports and the efforts that have been made. I just would like to see it tightened up just a little bit for me personally, because I'm concerned about staffing and the stress on them. So I hope that no one takes that wrong. I'm just wishing that we could tighten that up a little bit and watch out for our staff. So other than that, I think I'm done, and thank you for a good start of the school year.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Lincoln?
Well, I think I'll start by what Ms. Thompson said. It's been a great start to the school year. I've heard some very positive things going on. Kids are enjoying themselves. And back to transportation, I mean, we are so blessed here in Amherst County, because not everyone has a bus that picks you up, brings you home, and safely at that. So every time I see them, and you can tell Wayne Cock that I don't go by them anymore. I know to stop now on 29, so kinda. But I just respect the drivers and what the great job they're doing. We had a Laurel board meeting last week. Everything is well at Laurel. We have 4 students there from Amherst. Dr. Lewis is doing an awesome job. We have lots of new board members from Appomattox County and from Campbell County, and so we're all getting familiar with one another and doing the work that the Lord needs for us to do. But things are well there, and we're just excited about everything. They have a new bus that we talked about last year, so they can take some field trips and just good things going on. I had a good time at the tailgate, and you all are right. It was great turnout, so I had a good time. And also that night, I think a lot of you knew that the class of 1975 from Amherst celebrated their 50 years, and we knew a few friends there as well, so that was a good thing. I'm hoping to get out to some back-to-school nights if they don't interfere with my job, but I don't think they will. But we look forward to going and seeing what the little people are doing around the neighborhood. I think ambulance was canceled because of the weather last week, someone said, and it was kind of bad out there. And so we'll look forward to that. I do have a few little people there. I did go to hear Senator Warner a couple of weeks ago as he came to Randolph College talking about education. I was on the end of the higher ed at that day because of what I do for a living, and things are well. Because we're affiliated with CBCC, it's just good to let you know that our enrollment is way up. And a lot of that is some Amherst County students. I just want you to know that. The CTEs, the early colleges, the dual enrollments, that plays a big part in the community college here in our area. So we are excited about that. Dr. Capps is excited. I'm going to be watching, I think, when is bullying month? Is that October?
October.
And when I say watching, you know, this, as I close, it's just some serious things going on. That's why I was hitting that mental health story a little bit, not to be over the top. But you don't have to be far from the TV to hear news that concerns you about mental health. And sometimes if I dig back far enough, it started in school. I didn't say every case, and I'm not an investigator, but you might hear a story of a child or an adult who was a child that was bullied in school, and so these things carry over to tragedies, and I pay close attention to that. That's why I said whatever we can do to de-escalate, first of all, de-escalate bullying if we can, and then de-escalate any mental health issues going past that for our community and for our nation. And that's just a priority I'm looking at right now in my life, that there's just so much going on. And the job that I do, I see it from both sides. So I'm excited what we're already doing and just want to keep that up. But in the month of October, whatever the schools are doing, and I get into that right now, to promote not having bullying by anybody. You're going to have, people have been picking on people for 100 years. I used to call it picking on, but sometimes we see a different level now. And we just want our teachers, another responsibility added to their plate is just to be mindful of these children and try to head these sort of things off just for the good of the community. But other than that, we're looking forward to some more good football and more good tailgating, so that's all. And VSBA speaks for itself. Continue to read all your information that comes in daily, and they are abreast of a lot of things that are going on. That's it.
Thank you. Well, I want to reiterate what's been said about transportation. Those drivers and the whole department, they work very hard, to get our kids here safely and to get them home safely. And they have to deal with a lot of surprises, throughout the day. And again, they're the first person we see and the last person the kids see. And so they have a huge impact on our kids. And I'm very thankful for the drivers we have. And we want to keep every one of them. And we need some more of them.
We're actively recruiting.
Exactly. And I do want to say it's nice to see Ms. Sales, Mr. C. I'm looking forward to our student reps and hearing them grow throughout the year and hearing all the wonderful events they're going to bring to us this year. And I want to say a quick thank you to the board. You guys, as board members, you're not really thanked for the job that you do. And this is my second year on the board, and I never really gave it a lot of thought as well. And now that I've seen what it takes to go through the board, I'm appreciative for every one of you and the time and effort that has to go into what we do as board members. There's a lot behind the scenes and reading as things are being sent to us from the administration. So thank you guys for that, and thank you for working with us as we're trying to redo some of the processes and shorten our meetings so they're more focused on what it is we really need to be doing as a board. And I appreciate your patience and as we're working through that. So, and I'm hoping to get to some of these events. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make the last tailgate. I had other obligations, but I will be at the next one, and I'm looking forward to that. All right, so that brings us to 1401, For anyone that would like to come speak, just remember you have 3 minutes. Come on up. State your name and your address for us, please.
Good evening. Sam Soger, District 2 Dad. Today is September 11th. This is a solemn day in our nation's history, and I feel the heaviness today. I want to take a moment. Thank y'all. Thank y'all very much for everything. I heard Tim Griffin is coming to the high school. That's an interesting surprise, and I feel I must let you all know that I'm going to be on the ballot running against Tim Griffin this year. Election day is November 4th. There's an excellent article that Justin Faulkner just wrote in today's New Era Progress, our county's newspaper, and you could read about what we have to say. I think there's some really nice things I say in there. I'd love for you to at least consider my words. And then, on behalf of the town of Amherst, I wanted to promote the town's Halloween event, October 24th, 6 to 9 p.m. The town wants everyone to come out. They're inviting community members, churches, nonprofits, the business storefronts. Everyone can come set up their own candy table. They're going to be closing off the main street from Star Street to 2nd Street, even East Court Street and Goodwin Street might also be closed off. So it's going to be an awesome event. I really encourage you all to get this out to your networks. These Town of Amherst events are super fun for our community, and I know it'll be an awesome time to celebrate with everyone. All right. Peace and love. Thank you all.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, seeing there's no one else, we'll move on. So next thing on the agenda is closed session.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, pursuant to Section 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia, it is recommended the board convene a closed meeting for the following A1 personnel matters.
Motion, we go into closed session?
Motion? And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.